I count to 6, we have a quorum, it's 1 o'clock. Don't lock the doors, don't anybody leave. Business time. I'd like to call a meeting to order. I did have a conversation with Chairman Gilbert yesterday. And Gary's not able to make it with us today. He sends us regrets. He's very optimistic about coming back to us soon as he responds better to the treatments he's getting, so he was optimistic and let's keep him in our thoughts and prayers. May we have a roll call?
McGilvery's absent with notice. Vanderveen,
Here?
Bagley. Here. Long and Herzog are absent with notice. LaFontaine is potentially absent with notice. Nash.
Here.
Quarles.
Here.
Smith Charles.
Present.
Stokes.
Here.
Have a quorum.
Wonderful. Shall we rise and pledge allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion before us. It was set out during an agenda. We have a motion that be approved as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Stokes, supported by Quarles. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We're underway. We have first approval of the minutes of March 1 and March 13, the regular meeting and our closed session.
Support.
Moved and supported. We need a roll call on this, Madam Secretary.
You can, or you can do a voice vote.
Well, let's do it all. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. And is there anybody here in the public that would like to make a statement or address the Parks Commission today? Yes. Hi.
My name is Stephanie Mackey.
I know you are. You're not public, you're staff.
And it's my pleasure to introduce you today, Shayla Toynes, who started with us on Monday. She is going to be our new organizational development project coordinator. So her efforts will be focused on our recruiting, onboard, and orientation that we know are so important. Shayla has recently been working for Mott Workforce and Economic Development as a Jobs for Michigan Graduates Specialist. In the past, she worked for MyWorks in both Genesee and Macomb counties and has worked in talent acquisition and career development roles for nearly 10 years. I'm thrilled that she's joined our team, and she will be at the Marshmallow Drop on Friday.
Thank you, welcome aboard. We have more introductions, I believe, Zach. Or is Chris Moore, you're making the introduction, Zach.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am very pleased and happy to introduce the newest member of our management team, Zach Zukowitz. And Zach, coming to us from Oakland University, we're very involved in program development in the areas of health and wellness and very active participant in diversity, equity, and inclusion programming and trainings. Zach is going to be attending the Rutgers DEI certification program, and so in the short term, he's going to fill this role as a health and wellness initiative focused, and then as he completes that training, he's going to be our DEI coordinator. So very pleased to welcome Zach. He's certainly hit the ground running. That's maybe an understatement, but I'm looking forward to Zach making a huge contribution to our efforts and being a leader in the field. So, thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. I look forward to engaging with you. You may see some emails from me, so if you see Zukowitz Zach come through, I'm excited to engage with you. I've got a lot of ideas, as Chris said, and yeah, just excited to be here and very grateful to be returning. I worked for Oakland County Parks from 2010 until 2017 part-time. So excited to come back full circle. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to have you back.
Thanks.
Let's see, Sarah, you have about 4 introductions.
I have a number. So first,
Go
let me
for
introduce Tyler Slater. Tyler
Tyler's our new forestry specialist. He'll be working with Luke Murphy, our forestry coordinator. It's very exciting for us to have Tyler on board to start doing tree trimming and maintenance around the parks, tree plantings, and also do trail maintenance. Tyler came to us from the city of Auburn Hills, where he worked with their DPW department doing tree trimming and maintenance as well. And he also worked for Oakland County Parks for a number of years as a part-time employee at Addison Oaks and in our natural resource department. So it's very exciting to have Tyler on board full-time. Tyler, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm just very excited to be here. Looking forward to the season to get started.
Great. We'll keep going. Our next introduction
Excuse me.
is, oh, sorry.
I'm just curious if anyone knows, does the county proper, did you say he was our arborist or?
Luke is our arborist and Tyler works with Luke in
Okay,
our forestry department, yes.
Yeah, I was
But
just
I think Tyler's pursuing his arborist certification right now.
Yes,
excellent. Just curious, is there connectivity with the county proper in terms of this space, if you're aware?
Yeah, so Mark Baldwin is the chief of landscape services for the
He's
facilities
with facilities.
maintenance department, and we work with Mark very closely on projects that they're doing, and then he also works with us because they like to do occasionally prescribed burns or native plantings, so we provide assistance to them on that. And we talk about projects that we can collaborate on and tree plantings, things like that.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
It does, it's got the wheels turning.
Okay.
Just on next door, people are like, I need help with my trees. And let's just say, DT let me use my good language, my good English. DT doesn't always care when they trim. And with the storms and the ice from earlier in March, we had some, horrific branches falling. And just like if there's rationale of how and when you cut these trees, does it hurt them at some point and they feel like they can't grow and sustain? Because that's what our theory is like DT just came through and it's just like, hacks them up and they look horrible. They don't do a lot for curb appeal. I could go on. So the point is, maybe a YouTube channel of your own and you help people. Thank you.
No, I think that's very true though, the DT is trimming for power line access, not for necessarily health of trees, so,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, great. Lindsay is our next introduction. Lindsay is our new natural areas specialist, so she works with Keegan, who's our natural areas coordinator, and Katie, who is our other natural areas specialist. Lindsay comes to us from GEI, which is an environmental consulting firm where she did lots of habitat restoration projects and all different kinds of work related to habitat restoration. Prior to that, she worked for Huron-Clinton Metro Park, so has lots of experience leading crews and doing invasive species treatments and restoration projects. And here at Park, she's gonna work on our native landscaping maintenance and our bioswale maintenance, and also work on new trail maintenance and trail standards. So we're very excited to have Lindsay on board. She's been doing lots of good work with our new native planting restoration project. So Lindsay, do you have anything to add?
Nope, I'm just having a lot of fun and grateful to be here.
Awesome.
You're young to have all that experience.
I know. Sean is our next introduction. So some of you may recognize Sean Zera. He's been a long-time, part-time parks employee. He's worked here for, I think, 5 years now as a part-time wildlife specialist. We just hired him as our full-time wildlife coordinator. Before that, Sean worked for a herpetological consultant who provided the herpetological survey of the county park. So Sean's very familiar with all of our parklands and has basically built our wildlife program. So we're very grateful that he's joined us as a full-time resource. Sean's also a wonderful botanist, so he does much of our botany work across the park system. So he'll be managing the hunting program, which he is currently doing, our native species monitoring programs, and any of our nuisance wildlife control. Sean, do you have anything to add or?
It's basically summer now, so everything's in full swing. You probably need to duck out because I've got the crew working on a beaver dam removal, so it doesn't flood out the neighbors in tomorrow's intense thunderstorms apparently.
Is that the one in Independence?
One of several at Independence,
Oh.
probably.
They've been out there clearing dams before they came here, so
You know,
they're nice
so
enough that they tied.
I need to go make sure everybody's still.
I've seen their creativity out there, the beavers.
And then our last next introduction is not a Parks employee, but a county employee. I think many of you know Julie Lyons-Bricker, and I'll let her introduce herself, but Julie is working for the Office of Sustainability for Oakland County, working with Erin Cattell. So Julie, do you wanna introduce yourself and your role?
Sure, thank you for having me today. Again, my name is Julie Lyons-Bricker. I started with Oakland County at the beginning of January, so I've reached my 3-month mark already. And I am also excited to be here. It's been great getting to know many of the departments, and one of the main things that Erin and I both find to be very important is helping to remove the silos from the different departments so that we can all work together, because as you probably know, sustainability touches on many things, right? Environment, the economy, and then equity. And so I look forward to meeting you all and doing some work with you on different projects. And Erin should be back next Monday, so we're excited to get her going, and we can step up the strategy here.
So Julie and Erin have been great partners to us as we kind of get our sustainability efforts off the ground, and have really collaborated with us very intensively on connecting us with the facilities department and making sure that we as a county are moving together with sustainability efforts. So thanks to Julie and Erin for including us.
Is there anybody that didn't get introduced? Oh. Alright. And are there any communications or reports?
Just the dog park study. Yeah, you can.
Oh, okay, dog park study, is that where we are?
Yes,
I gather there's no communications or reports.
that is our communication.
Okay, this is it, alright.
Hi, good afternoon.
Donna and Tom, spew forth, please.
All right. Thank you for doing that. So we are here to, launch a dog park study, fully staffed up planning department in partnership with park operations, and as part of our implementation of the rec plan, we'll be looking at doing, facility level studies throughout the future, and now we're gonna look at a dog park. Purpose of the study is going to be, and we'll go through these points one by one, but to evaluate our dog parks in relation to our core values, look at existing conditions. Lots of people happy with the dog parks, but there are some concerns and some issues that we want to take a close look at. And then updating all of our research into best practices, what the trends are, what the data is we're collecting on site, updating our public engagement, and then making some recommendations so that you can plan our investment and our operational decisions based on good information in our core values. And starting with the core values, as we look at, looking at the dog parks as they are, evaluating those core values, but how can we move the needle in those core values? Diversity, equity, inclusion, what is the level of accessibility of each of those dog park facilities? How welcoming are they? How diverse are the people that are using them? Health and wellness, are we providing a lot of opportunities for people to, exercise, and then environmental sustainability. How is the dog parks interacting with our natural environment, and how sustainable are our practices? There's always concerns about, Massasauga rattlesnakes and dog interactions, things like that. And then fiscal responsibility, organizational excellence, how are we looking as far as related to cost recovery targets, how is our staffing working out, and things like that, so.
So for the dog park, as part of this, there's really 3 issues we're trying to address or look into further. First one being the dog's required to have a license to use the facility, a state law to have a dog license. Our ability to manage that, to enforce that is very limited, so trying to find alternate ways to address that issue, if possible. Sheriff's Department, does the patrols for us and assist us, but there's also an expense that goes along with that, and trying to figure out other ways to have a little more control of the dogs who are entering the facility who are licensed. Second one is the dog park incidents. There's a perception of possible incidents. We're trying to get a better handle on the incidents within the dog parks. Some of our current tracking, measuring of those incidents isn't really providing information we need yet. So we're updating some information to get a better handle on which incidents we're having, how they're being reported, and be able to get that information back to us to see how much of an issue there really is. And the third is the cost recovery, as Donna mentioned, for the dog parks. Evaluating our current process of vehicle passes to be the fees to enter the park versus maybe alternate methods, and see if we can change that process if needed to have a better cost recovery and more revenues for those facilities. Looking at potential changes to the dog parks, Lion Oaks is kind of like the model of what we're looking at. At the top left there of the dog park is a centralized location. This is the only dog park that has a centralized location. That really accommodates us trying to implement some new ideas of the operations of the dog park. Orion Oaks has a very quite a few different entry points into a dog park. So this is the current existing layout. Going in the future, if we're gonna do any changes to the operation, our model will be moving towards kind of what Lion Oaks is. And this one here is currently how the configuration is at Red Oaks. Again, there's 2 entry points into the dog park, and ideally look into a centralized location.
And just looking at the kind of research we're gonna be doing, which is already going, I wanna note that there is a dog park work group that consists of operations and planning staff that have been doing this research over the last few months to get us ready for this point. But then continue to look into national trends, looking at county trends, where are the dog parks, do a gap analysis. And then, of course, looking at accessibility of facilities, entries and fees, as Tom mentioned, how we're counting visitors. Right now, we're counting cars. Would be great to have a system where we're actually counting people and dogs coming into the dog park. Cost recovery incidents, as was already been discussed. The amenities, what is needed and what's there now, what's available, licensing, and then potential for training, dog behavior training to deal with dog incidents, and what sort of programs and events people might want to have, and looking at more partnerships and sponsorships within our dog parks. And so a big job is to update our public engagement. We did a survey back in 2016 in all the dog parks. And we would do a similar method, updated with a little bit more better technology even in the last few years. We want to talk to people in the people who are using the dog parks, and then identify which dog parks they're using. So we'll do a random sampling and intercept method that will be administered by volunteers. Well, paper and pencil, but also online surveys using the QR code. We want to limit our survey responses to 1 user in each dog park, so we would limit it to 1 response per IP address, so we don't have some, passionate people taking the survey many times. And then once we have the results from that, we will do a couple of focus groups to take a deeper dive into those survey results, and that is, if you can go back that one just for a sec. Just look at the 2016, these were the importance to people. So water for dogs to drink and get washed, shade, trees, water to play in were the top things that people wanted. Down towards the bottom were the sort of the more specialized things, with events and education and renting dog areas. So people want water for their dogs, and they want a place to play that's shady and comfortable. And then this looks at the different dog parks back in 2016. What was the top ranking things in each of the parks? At Orion Oaks, obviously, was the beauty of the park, barrier free access. Convenience of parking was important in each of those, and a sense of security and safety, which is sort of another, when we're discussing the dog park incidents, is another thing that we might want to explore in a little more detail. Do you feel that, you and your dog are safe here and having a good experience? Yes? Oh, I'm sorry, that's not muted.
I was just curious about that bar graph, which, you know, are you looking at it, convenience of parking, the three bars with it, and then ranking it left to right? Or could I also look at this as in, especially that last slide, with the other bars, where, if you don't mind, Tom, going back one more, sorry, where it says events, I'm sorry, dog park membership program, where that green line is important, and
It just kind of,
it's almost one of the longest green lines.
Yep.
So I think that's interesting because they do want water for the pet, for the dog and to be able to get washed. And then like ranking, I'd like to see that dog park membership program vetted out a little bit, cause then you could account for the license and also perhaps the attendance and use, so.
yeah, that's something that, and maybe what we'll do look at in the surveys is, and especially in the focus groups, is explore that in a little bit more detail. Cause it kind of falls right in the middle here.
Oh, you more time for questions? No, not yet?
Yes, absolutely.
Good, I have a couple.
Go ahead.
What is a dog incident?
Could be a dog on another dog attacking, physically attacking the dog, or a dog on a human.
Okay.
Incidents where there's a physical interaction or aggressiveness by a dog.
Okay, does our parks have any insurance to protect us from liability? Let's say your dog attacks my dog and I sue you in the park. Is that anything that's been considered? Just looking at, what is the park liability to Oakland County Parks for dogs attacking? 'Cause some of those attacks can be vicious. That was a question. Another one on training. Now there's a fee for people to bring their dogs to the park or no?
It's the vehicle pass.
Pardon me?
And right now, it's the vehicle pass.
Because I was thinking to encourage people to get their dogs trained, give them a discount or something for some period of time to use the dog park. Kind of as an incentive.
Like if they can document some sort of behavioral training.
And do you separate big dogs from medium dogs from little dogs? And the reason I ask, I've always owned some little dogs, except for my Basset Hound, he was great, but my little Dachshunds, they would find the biggest dog, the Great Dane, they were ready to go at 'em. And it never ceased to amaze me, the little dogs can be ferocious and initiate, a fight, and the big dog doesn't wanna be bothered, so I just wondered
We
if
do
there's
have,
separate-
each dog park has a small dog area.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, that was just some questions, suggestions that I had.
I can answer your first question, Commissioner. So it's very clear with the park rules, with the dog park rules, that you're assuming liability, not Oakland County Parks, if you utilize a dog park. And if ever we were, sued, we're part of the county's general liability coverage. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So to wrap up, this is the timeline we're looking at. May, June, and July, we'll continue research and documentation, and we'll conduct the dog park survey. In August, we'll summarize those survey results, we'll conduct the focus groups, and then start developing some recommendations that we will bring back to you in September to present the results of the study and offer you recommendations for our dog parks.
I have just a couple of questions, if I may. I've been to all the dog parks, and it's always seemed to me that with Orion, the other two seem to be right-sized, if there's such a thing. But in Orion, we have 95% of the people visiting the park using about 10% of the space, which is the dog park. You feel it's adequate in size, or should we be looking at expanding that?
The dog park in Oregon?
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of the biggest dog parks in the country.
Yeah,
And
but it's also the most popular use we have at Orion Oaks.
Right. Yeah, I definitely something to explore. I think there's an opportunity to, the runs there and what we have, they rotate quite a bit, so I think
If
there's
you
there's
think
plenty of
it's big
space
enough,
there.
I mean, rotating the grounds, that's fine.
Yeah, and there's plenty of space there. I think if there was a need to, we could expand, but that'd be a lot more conversation through the NR and the impacts that would have on the park itself.
Jim, did you wanna weigh in?
Yeah, it's something that we've done for the last 5 years. We used to rotate between the 3 different areas. And now we actually open 2 different areas and just close one area, so we have addressed the concern of having too many in one area. So now we rotate and have 2 open and 1 closed. So that's helped a lot in the space. But there is a rotation, just like a soccer field.
This is getting, a few years ago, this is a brand new thing. And now it's getting acceptance and knowledge. Are there best practices that other agencies are using that we might look at?
Yeah, we're gonna be looking at all of that and bringing it back to you.
Yeah, different levels too, from a municipal size park to a county sized park. And there's different standards that we're trying to follow some different models and evaluate what our current process is.
Anything else?
I just
Yolanda?
had one,
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Ebony.
I just had one comment, cause I'm not really in tune with the dog parks right now, but now I have a dog, so I am in tune, or I plan to be. So as it relates to like programming, like what is that looking like? And is that something that people have said they want to see more of, like events or things like that? And maybe that'll help also with us getting a more diverse group of users in our parks.
That would be, I think that would be a way to address bringing a more diverse group of users in. As you know, from the survey we did, it was pretty low on the list of the current users. When we first opened the dog parks, we had programming to bring people in. And then it was pretty much stopped because, we had a population that was using it. And so that's one of the things we want to explore.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yolanda?
Yes, sir, thank you. In terms of that dog park survey for May, June, July, how do you go about getting people to participate?
People are really willing to participate. We use volunteers, and we use staff, and we just go out in the park with clipboards.
So it's kind of like those help wanted signs where you have to kind of be there to say you have to kind of meet you where they are. I'm looking for insights from folks like me who have a dog, but a person in their household is afraid to take dogs to dog parks because they feel like they're not safe.
Okay.
And you won't catch me to be able to get my input.
That is a great comment. So, yeah. That would be looking at some sort of, we want to be able to differentiate between people who use and don't use the dog park. So if we did an online portion and it is asked, why don't you go to the dog park? What are your concerns? We'll incorporate them.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. And if there's anything that I can do in my very nominal role in terms of EDI, maybe there's a buck or two to help, make it more broad. I'm happy to look under the rock and see.
All right.
Or dollar signs and cha-ching.
Yeah, we'll show you where the rock is.
Never turn down money.
Thank you.
Have we ever thought about doing any kind of, introductory dog training for folks who don't know much about dog parks and would like to do more, or, anything like that? Do we ever actually have like sponsored dog trainings or anything?
That's one of the things that we would really like to look at.
I think it seems like it would be a good, it's a natural place to go to a dog a dog park to get those kind of lessons, so.
Yeah.
Ken, Mr. Chairman, and behind all this is, I think we're at a pretty important decision point with our dog parks. They originally established as basically a passive use amenity. Come and use it, enter the rules, and it's your responsibility to follow the rules. And we have some decisions to make, whether we wanna get further into it, whether we expect it to be something that's programmed, whether we expect there to be more stringent enforcement of security measures and prevention of incidents. And if that is the case, how do we create a revenue model that will support that? So that's the good work that they are doing, and we wanted to just lay the foundation today to get to that point of giving you some options down the road.
Appreciate the update.
Thank you. That was a really nice discussion, thank you.
I don't think there's any action today.
No.
Okay, regular agenda. Item one, Zach, the Springfield Line Cart Path Replacement Program.
Sir, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, this is the agenda item for Springfield Oaks and Lion Oaks Golf Course cart path replacement. Starting on page 10, we've identified as part of our pathway replacement program in our capital budget, these two golf courses as priority for cart path replacement. Sharon, if you wanna pull up page 19 and 20 to see a visual of the park. It's in the agenda, yeah. So for Lion Oaks, we're addressing about 33% of all the cart paths on site. We also have some funding additionally proposed in 24 to complete the rest of it. This includes about 2.4 miles, and this project also includes the restoration and soil erosion control measures. And then for Springfield Oaks, we have about 50% of the cart paths we are addressing. We're also adding a small, about 0.38 miles, a new section of cart path. And this gets us about, like I mentioned, 50%, and also with restoration as part of the project. We've never done a full scale investment in any of our cart paths at these two locations. Lion Oaks being opened in 2001, we've never had this kind of investment into our cart paths. Some of the benefits, continuing down at the end of page 10, cart paths minimize maintenance on the golf courses, helps provide routing for people, gets people to and from the areas, and also helps like with our senior populations with people using cart paths, gets more people out on the golf course and helps with pace of play. This was in the budget for 23 in our capital. You can see the funding identified, and our staff recommendation is to award to True North Asphalt in the amount of $884,454 for construction services for the cart path replacements as identified at Lion and Springfield Oaks.
Are there any questions or discussion?
Your golf cart path replacements, are those impervious or are they gonna be pervious?
It will be, we're pulverizing existing to use as base, recompact, and then it will be hot asphalt, regular asphalt for these projects.
You didn't consider
We
anything
did
else in
consider-
the interest of the environment?
Yep, we did consider impervious. We're looking at about 3 times for material costs, and that didn't include the labor for the install.
So due to cost, you went with?
We did, and we also, Sarah and I looked at just the scale of what this is and the benefit we get from using impervious. This isn't the right project to implement for asphalt for this.
We are doing a parking lot improvement at Lion Oaks though this coming year, and we're looking at permeable pavers for that project. So we thought it was just much more applicable to do this in the parking lot where we can do the maintenance as opposed to the cart paths where the maintenance is much more complicated for us to implement.
I might mention, oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, the red and yellow lines, I didn't get a chance to see the legend.
Yeah, if you wanna pull up on page 20.
What are these to
So on page 20, that's for Springfield Oaks, the red. Yep, the yellow is existing and the red are some of the newer sections to help with some of the needs that I mentioned.
newer sections and
Is the red.
is the red.
Yep.
And does this include signage or just strictly about the asphalt?
Just the pathways, yep.
Okay, so I guess I'll leave it at that. I think I have other inquiries, but they were more around, if you've got these new paths, will you be coming back to ask for signage or things like that?
We have pretty good signage out there already for the golf course place, so we didn't see the need to add any more for this.
Okay.
Jim?
done recently.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jim, did you wanna?
Oh, sure, I just wanted to say that with these paths being completely surrounded by pretty absorbent areas, I don't see an impact, in a parking lot, you've got a large area that can cause significant runoff. When you got a path that's 8 feet wide, 8 feet? It's not gonna have a huge impact, especially in something where they're completely surrounded by natural areas. I just don't see that impact. The cost differential would have been significant for a return that I don't think would have been that big. Again, a parking lot has a whole different profile in terms of runoff, so I think that's much more important. I just wanted to say.
Thank you for explaining that better than
You know,
I did. I didn't wanna go into all the nitty gritty, but yes, thank you.
Anything else? I have one question, Zach.
Yeah.
We authorized some bridge repair at Lion Oaks a couple meetings ago.
Yes, our staff completed one of the sections at 18 at Lion and they'll
We're all doing that, we're doing all that in-house?
That's all in-house, yep.
Okay.
So that was for material purchase, and so they did 18 this year and 17 will be done after this coming up season.
What will that cost roughly?
The materials was it was maybe 30 in that range.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
we really have quite a significant savings with our staff being able to do the work.
that's good, it's being coordinated with the.
Correct, yep.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
So this is for the cart tracks?
Yep,
Oh,
he was we did some, there's several boardwalks on site as part of the circulation, so we had started
Those are the
doing that.
bridges.
so it's just a boardwalk between
Correct.
pavement.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, if you wanna pull up the other map, shows 19 a little bit better, but. So this pathway program will continue to be in our budget where we'll identify the highest priority within the whole system, whether it's golf courses or, regular trail leaves.
Thank you. Nancy, you good?
No, yes.
Anything else? Thanks for the report. We need a motion on this, right?
Motion is-
Okay. Motion's in order to approve the project as presented.
I'm happy to make that motion, Mr. Chair. On item 1 under regular agenda approval.
I'll support that.
Support by Mr. Nash. Moved and supported. You will call the roll, please?
Vanderveen,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
LaFontaine, Nash,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Smith Charles,
Yes.
Stokes.
No, would you like my reason?
I know
Just
it.
my
Go
vote.
ahead.
What's that? There's no picture.
The reason I vote no is because a statement that's too expensive until we start moving in that direction to start finding a way to bring that cost down, to save our environment. We will continue to keep our carbon numbers up and we'll always be striving. And when 2050 gets here, we'll have as much carbon then as we have now. So at some point, we have to find a way, create a way, wherever it is. The reason I vote no, the same reason I vote no when we buy golf carts and anything else that has gasoline engines. We've gotta stop at some point. And we continue to say, well, we'll do it next time, we'll do it later. We'll never do it. So that's why I voted no.
Don't we have gas or electric carts at Lion Oaks?
We have some, but they bought some gas vehicles too as well, I believe, last
That was-
year.
Yeah, 2021, I think we did.
Four of our golf courses have electric golf carts, only Springfield Oaks is the only course that has gasoline
Yeah,
golf
that's what I
carts
thought.
because of the terrain and the ability to get the golf carts to play 36 holes. Technology's getting better, so hopefully we can convert it to electric in the future. But that's only a golf course that doesn't have electric golf carts currently.
So the others all are electric?
Yeah, they are.
Oh, good. That's great.
So these are electric at Lion Oaks. Yeah.
How many at Springfield are gas?
77.
77.
At any rate, that was
Yeah.
my reason for voting no, I have to provide a reason,
Sure.
because we're open meeting, so I have to.
Thank you.
You have 5 yeses and 1 no, motion carries.
Motion carried. Nancy?
Just to add to that, even when you go to the other golf courses, Glen Oaks, Red Oaks, you'll find that the golf courts, the carts out there are electric.
What?
You'll find that the other golf courses, the carts are electric.
All but Springfield.
No.
Red Oaks, is that?
Motion carried. Thank you, folks. Upward and onward. Springfield Livestock Barn Fan Project.
Yep,
You, Zach?
yep, page 21, the Fair Board is requested to install 2 ceiling fans inside the livestock barn at Springfield Oaks. They will take on all the costs and install. This is just for you to recommend forward to BOC for approval, which is an amendment to their current lease.
I see Mr. Livestock man in the back. You came in late. I now know why you're here, Elsie. Are there any questions among commission members?
This goes straight to the full board.
It does.
It's on the Lago agenda for next week.
The county's donation policy requires that we bring each donation of a value over $10,000 to the Board of Commissioners.
Did I miss the donation?
Its value of the project was $15,905.
Okay.
I don't understand what this is.
We are, the Oakland County Fair Association would like to install these two fan projects. And so they are donating the value of that equipment to Oakland County Parks. And under the county's policy for the donation of either value or financial means, we have to take anything over $10,000 to the Board of Commissioners for a vote.
To be accepted by the board.
Yes.
No good deed goes unpunished, LC, it's just another little procedural step here.
Appreciate it, yeah.
The motion's in order, I believe.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair, to approve
Support by Emily.
and forward Springfield Livestock Farm Fan Project. Support.
Any other discussion? Now, would you call the roll, please?
Bagley,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Smith Charles.
Yes.
Stokes,
Yes.
Vanderveen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Zach. 2023 Oakland County Parks and Recreation Rules and Regulations, Tom Hughes.
Bring to you the updates to the park rules for 2023. So annually, we review all the park rules for the season. Any issues that come up with park staff for enforcement are brought to our attention. The last few years, we really got that down to not needing to change our park rules to try and get to that goal of not changing park rules as often as we have. But last year, we had some unique situations with staff and harassment of staff from the public. And we had a limited capability of enforcing these rules and trying to protect our staff. So that was the main part of the rules this year is getting that in place to help support our staff in the field. In addition to that, there's still some minor things that had to be changed in the park rules with some wording, changing from the executive officer to the director. A couple of camping rules of cleanliness of the sites, but ultimately the one that was the biggest issue is personal conduct from the public. With the new rules in place, should be able to enforce not allowing patrons who are harassing staff to have some restriction on them ability to reserve facilities. Would limit any open space. We can limit open space to the public usage, but when it comes to reserving a facility, we could have some limitations on the ability to do that. So that's the update in the rules for this year.
There's one other item I just want to draw attention to.
Oh, yes.
The special liquor license process, those were coming to the commission before. We anticipate with the new management plan for White Lake and Lion Oaks that we're going to be seeing this on a more frequent basis. And the delay that causes is not gonna be helpful in our rental of the facilities. So what we're seeking is administrative authority to this process goes through based on, a review that's outlined here in the rules.
I think we discussed that before.
We did in the executive committee, but not here.
What section is this?
That is on page 53.
I was curious, Tom, if there was anything that stood out to you on personal conduct in terms of rules and regulations, it's on your list, so what was something under that I can hear from you?
That was I was referring to with the staff harassment.
Oh, the harassment of staff.
Yes, personal conduct, we have all the, tools in place for staff on staff through HR, but we have nothing in place for the public interacting with staff. And the last few years, those interactions have become, more and more negative at times. So trying to have some ability to protect our staff with these enforcements.
And not so much patron to patron.
Correct.
It sounds like.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then what's the commission commission camper? It was number, I'm sorry. It was the first thing on your summary list. I can probably, here it is. Use reservation commission property, what is that? It could just be the way the heading is, but reservation commission, is that a thing?
Oh, I think that is just the change from the executive officer to the director.
Yes,
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, it's a technical minor change.
okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Any other questions, Jim? Oh, I'm sorry, Nancy.
Thank you. Just so I'm clear on this, it looks like most of the changes is in here is for efficiency and to move things
Yes.
along quicker. Okay, thank you.
I think in the incident, Tom talking about protecting our staff as well.
Sure.
I was just wondering, so we've seen a significant increase in this, or
of the public interaction,
harassing
yes.
our folks?
Yes, it has, just the last couple of years, and not just our parks, and it's in general in all
Just
business, it's just
everywhere.
a lack of respect and.
So have these been like significantly physical things, or just kind of yelling at people as they're, you know, doing their job, or?
Yes, physically, no, I mean, there's been threats for physical, but actual physical interactions, no. But it's to the point where it's, you know, very, strong language used towards
So
the
how
staff.
does somebody report it? How do they, I mean, they're being harassed, so they, is there a, you know, like at a store, you'll have an emergency button or something, but you don't, do you have that kind of thing, or is it just you have to go report
Radios.
that somebody
Yeah, we
harassed
have
you?
phones, radios, so there'll be like, most of the time it's interaction with our part-time staff, and then they'll get supervisor involved immediately. Or if it's a significant incident, they'll, you know, contact the sheriff's department.
So you've had training on how to deal with it?
Yes.
So this will help the sheriff's department to enforce these too, so the whole idea of this happening. And we did have a young lady at Addison, you know, that was being stalked and harassed, and this is when it elevated to this, to make sure that we put things in place for the future. And Tom did an outstanding job with the utility in this process.
We need to protect our folks. This is something that we really need to pay attention to.
Anything else?
We don't have a lot of cameras around our parks, do we?
Do what?
Cameras.
Not enough, we're constantly adding to what we have. There'll be more coming, but we definitely need more. There's some in place in key areas, but we need
And
more.
will they be functional at night especially?
Yes.
That's, yeah.
Yep.
And is someone minding them, like we're watching what's being, you know?
Constantly viewing, but they're recorded, so we can refer back to
Recorded,
them for X amount of time, yes. So we have the ability
That's
to
good.
refer back to those.
That's very important.
Yes.
Put some in some
Yeah.
owls.
They are, you're right, they are. Nothing else? I think the motion's in order.
I would move it. Oh, support.
Mr. Nash, supported by Emily.
So I noticed you changed commission, from park to commission.
Yeah, I noticed.
That's all through the document, or?
Yes, that was updated by corporate counsel for the.
Okay.
Yep.
It's only gonna get confusing when it's Oakland County Commission instead of Parks on that sign. But anywho.
Well, you wear both hats.
You just say yes.
And Commissioner Nash too.
Give a roll call.
Commissioners. Nash,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Smith Charles.
Yes.
Stokes,
Yes.
Vanderveen,
Yes,
Bagley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you. The next one's a Royal Oak Township License Agreement.
No pond.
Oh, Mill Pond, I'm sorry. Skipped a page, just trying to move it along. Melissa? You're there.
Hi, good
Okay.
afternoon. So this item is for the first and most likely the only amendment to the agreement that we have with Springfield Township for the operation and maintenance of the Mill Pond Dam. With that project moving forward to remove the dam and restore the area, we wanted to just do an amendment, updating the agreement to reflect that that project is in place, and that we are sharing the funding for that project in the same way that we shared the funding for operations and maintenance. It also will, the amendment will also essentially dissolve the agreement as soon as the project is done and the property lines are redrawn and those deeds are recorded. It will, essentially, the agreement will go away because we won't be jointly managing anything anymore. It does, if you wanna throw up the map, Shannon, it does say that, on page 83, section 3 does talk about the fact that once the project is done, we will be redrawing some property lines there, using the river essentially as the new boundary, but also fixing a few issues that have been there over time. One being, Rotary Park will go to the township. We will no longer have to operate or manage Rotary Park, which will be great. Oh, it's not gonna let you open that, is it? And then there's a little corner of property that is ours that's on the other side of the river, and it's actually, for the most part, within a township park, and they manage it for us. So we're gonna swap that as well and give them that little corner since they're already managing it anyway. And then the last part of that will be they'll grant us an easement so that we can get to the property that's ours north of the railroad track. Oh, there it goes. So it's a little tricky, there's a lot of dots on that map, but essentially the new boundary line, and this will come back to you for approval before this is done, this is just for discussion purposes, but the new boundary line for us will be the yellow dotted line. So you can see it kind of goes right through the middle of the mill pond, that's in general where we think the channel will go. And then it's kind of that upside down U-shaped portion that's on the north side of the railroad tracks, which is that big diagonal that cuts right through the property. So this amendment kind of just outlines all of that, says we're moving forward with the project. Just a real quick update on that note, we are still on track to break ground in May for the project. And the Eagle funding that we applied for, that additional $1 million, we got an email from them last week. They're a little delayed in figuring out who they're awarding to, but we should hear sometime around the 14th. They have a meeting where they should be making those final decisions. So we'll keep you posted.
So if I'm looking at this correctly, that dotted orange line, you spoke about the proposed revised boundary.
Yep.
It's clear that it's saying we go to the middle, but I'm just curious, that could get precarious.
Well, we will do a full survey and redraw the boundary lines once the river channel is established. So it'll be once everything is established, we know where the river's gonna be, we'll have a surveyor come out and draw the lines for us.
Okay, and then without my legalese hat on, the part where it says the amendment also includes a provision for the entire agreement to expire when the project is complete and the new boundaries are finalized.
Yep.
I guess I don't quite get it.
So we've had this agreement in place, the agreement that this is an amendment for since 2015, and it governs the shared operation and maintenance and now the removal project. So once the dam is gone, there's no more shared maintenance of anything. So there's no need for an interlocal agreement anymore. So it kind of self-destructs essentially when the project is completed.
That's very clear, thank you. I was thinking it meant like we wanna go back and
Yes.
not do any of this anymore.
No.
I think if I understand, it means that the future responsibility of this agency to repair and upkeep the mill is gone.
Right, because there is no mill or dam. Yep.
I like this.
It's a good thing. Yeah. So this will go over to the Board of Commissioners for their approval as well.
I'm happy to make a motion if you need one, Chair.
Moved by Charles. Support by, oh, you guys flip. Ebony.
You need two-way signs.
She's closer. Roll call, please.
Quarles,
Yes.
Smith Charles,
Yes.
Stokes,
Yes.
Vanderveen,
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yep.
Nice job. You staying here for the farmer's market?
I am.
Okay, farmer's market update and request to negotiate.
So we have learned quite a bit from the closed session meeting that we had with the developer. Long and short of it with the grant, which is what we were waiting for some clarification on, the grant from HUD will allow for a potential location change of the market. That's not a deal breaker for them. We have heard from both Stabenow and Stevens' office that they would support us looking into that as well, so there aren't really any restrictions on us. We will still need to put the grant the grant agreement, get that back to HUD ASAP, so I'm gonna bring that back to you guys next month. Essentially what this HUD staff directed us to do was to provide a very general narrative project summary that gets attached to the grant agreement, which we can make that so that it can be applicable to either location. And then submit a draft budget that they've said we can amend at any time. So if we change direction or we change scope, we can submit a revised budget to do that. So essentially, if you want us to continue to explore that option, there's kind of two things that we wanted to talk about. One is we would need to go to the Economic Development and Infrastructure Committee to request authorization to negotiate with the developer. We've heard kind of a general outline of what they have proposed, but in order to get into the details and see what are they really offering, what might it cost us, what might an agreement or a purchase or a lease look like, we need that permission from ED&I. So that's the one thing that we would be asking for today. The other would be, if we're gonna do that, and I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, if we were gonna move the market to a totally new location, that would be for us like a year to 18-month planning process. Like it's a very big deal to potentially move the market, and there's a lot of research and public engagement and all that would go into that. And we wanna make sure that we're still, taking those steps and not making a decision without all of the right information. So what we would like to do is put out an RFP for a feasibility study and a market analysis to have somebody come in and look at that space, look at the market for the market in Pontiac, look at the impact that might have on our vendors and the people that use the market now, and kind of paint for us a full picture of what location makes the most sense for us as an organization so that this commission can make a good decision.
Nancy?
Thank you. I'm certainly in support of where are the best places for the farmers market. The feasibility study, who would pay for that?
We would pay for that.
And do we have to get additional funds, or do we already have a grant?
We have funding in our contracted services that we could use for that. I don't have a scope yet to know the exact cost, but we'd like to put some feelers out.
Okay.
Would that study explore, let's say, 3 different locations?
We would probably just focus on the location that's been proposed unless there was direction to do otherwise.
We've given no direction on this so far.
Nope.
I think we would bring back a consultant and get the feedback from you, correct?
Yep.
Jim, did you? I thought I said something. No. Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry.
So if that is something that you would like to direct us to do, it would probably be good to add that to the motion, to direct staff to do a feasibility study and market analysis, or put in an RFP to do that.
Well, I think it should explore the whole picture.
Yeah, and we know we wanna do that sooner than later. I think I mentioned at the last meeting, we technically have until 2031 to spend that HUD funds, which is a very long time, but we also have immediate needs at the current market facility that we don't wanna leave hanging, and we have vendors who are anxious about what we're gonna be doing, so we would like to kind of move forward as quickly as possible with that analysis so that we can make a decision.
Anything else, questions?
I just wanna reiterate that I think that we need to consider the impact of customers on that property compared to where we are now. Cause there's a apartment complex across the street from where we are now, but that's kind of it. And here we have thousands of homes within walking distance, and I think we'd have a better crowd coming in on weekdays. I mean, that's why most of them are on downtowns, and because there's more people around. I think it's a good point to make, so.
And as a reminder, there is a tour of the
Right.
facility for anyone interested after this meeting today, yep.
Sir, how does this action impact, if at all? Like, for example, if everyone votes no, which quite clearly isn't gonna happen here, do we still have a tour?
Well, I think the question is, do we commission a consultant to help us go through this process? So if the answer is no, we still gotta go through the process.
If your answer is no, then you're sending us a signal that you don't want to pursue that option anymore, so.
Right.
I don't know that it would make sense to go on a tour.
Right. So then you're asking or suggesting that the motion, there be wording added, or that it's an amendment?
I would just add in that
Oh, right.
you're
'cause
also
we have that
directing
motion.
staff to put out an RFP for a feasibility and market analysis.
Yeah. Well, the wheels of government sometimes turn at the same time, because I just got a phone call to ask if this could get on the agenda for EDI yesterday. So I'll make the motion and add in the part about the feasibility.
Is there support? Supported by Commissioner Nash. Any other discussions?
It is already on the agenda for ED&I next week, just so you know.
I saw that.
Now, Mr. Chair, I just wanna be clear on the motion. looking at the motion that's here, it says to move to direct staff to request authorization to negotiate the sale or lease of the real property from the Economic Development and Infrastructure Committee of the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. And we're adding in, and to direct the staff to
To release an RFP.
To release our RFP, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're all clear. Would you call the roll, please?
Smith Charles?
Yes.
Stokes?
Yes.
Vanderveen?
Yes.
Bagley? Yes. Nash?
Yes.
Quarles?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, item 6, Royal Oak Township License Agreement. ARPA.
I can handle this, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. So as you all recall, we had a lot of discussion last year leading to the Board of Commissioners approval of our American Rescue Plan funded Healthy Communities Park Plan, which has many different components to it. One of the first hurdles we have to run through at this point is 10 different legal agreements that need to be worked out with various local governments to begin the next process of planning and design. There are 2 items here on your agenda that are projects that we will be providing the support to the local community in terms of acting as fiduciary and project manager and providing assistance to the community. Both are playground improvement projects. The Hazel Park one that follows has a little bit more to it, but that's what you'd be approving here today is a license agreement that would allow us to go on the property, make the improvements, and at the end of the process, turn over the project to the Township of Royal Oak for the enjoyment of the residents there. So with your approval, it'll go to the community to approve, and then we'll send it to the Board of Commissioners for final approval.
I move.
Support.
Smart, okay. Sorry, Jim. I gotta get down to that end of the table.
I was gonna say, I'm getting parts
Commissioner Charles
everywhere.
District.
Yeah, so that's true.
Laser Village is next. Yeah.
Call the roll, please.
Sure. Stokes?
Yes.
Vanderveen?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Quarles?
Yes.
Smith Charles?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 7, Hazel Park License Agreement, again, another ARPA item.
So again, Mr. Chair, this is very similar to the item that you just voted upon. But it's for the city of Hazel Park, for a project in Green Acres Park. Improvements to the playground structure and surrounding park amenities that we worked with the city in developing this project scope. And would be asking for your support to move it along the process.
Motion?
Yes.
Yes, motion by. Is there a support?
Support.
Support by Stokes. Roll call, please.
Vanderveen?
Yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Quarles?
Yes.
Smith Charles?
Yes.
Stokes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I apologize, probably should have asked this in discussion. It appears that both of them fall in the range of not to exceed $300,000.
Yeah, that was what was approved by the board. Our support will be an additional amount that essentially
In kind.
In kind, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I guess we're on unfinished business. I normally at this time would give the executive committee report. That's an easy one. There was no executive committee meeting, so that takes care of that. Chris, do you have a report on the?
Yeah, go through it quickly because I know we've got a potential tour right after. I wanna make note that part of your agenda for your meeting next month is our budget session, our budget work session. And so if you could make a little extra time because, you know, that might be a little bit longer meeting than normal. Also, I wanna note that we are fortunate now to have a a support person from Fiscal Services. That position has been vacant since last September-ish, I believe. And we are excited to welcome Kevin, Sion?
I think that is correct.
Okay, good. We'll have him here next month and he can pronounce it himself. But this is a much needed welcome support for our activities. I wanna definitely commend Aaron Stepp, who's stepped up, no pun intended, to support our fiscal management in the interim in a big way. But we are looking forward to having this support that we have had in the past and be able to get more information as a commission.
I feel he's gonna be a busy person.
Yes, we've got a backlog, and a budget to get done rather quickly. Just a few notes in terms of launching of programming and facilities. Our golf courses are open as of the 1st of April. Archery on the 20th, campgrounds are slated to open on the 28th. We have a target date for our water parks. Always the condition of adequate staffing, but our target date at this point is June 10th. And a reminder, of course, of the marshmallow drop on Friday. Definitely want to just encourage all of you that would like to attend or plan on attending to get there early to avoid the crowds. The parking is available for you, and Jamie has the, you put in your window.
They all have the flyer.
Oh, they all have the flyer, okay. Yeah, so if you'd like to attend and you haven't already let us know, please let us know, it's gonna be exciting.
How are we doing with recruitment?
How are we doing for recruitment? Do we have anybody from rec programming here? They were working on assembling the marshmallows. Yeah.
So all the marshmallows and all the bags are stuff today for them. As far as I know, we're on schedule to have everything. There's no worries, at least they're
No
not.
panic button has been hit.
I'll volunteer to fly the helicopter. Somebody's gonna change their mind about going.
It was fun, that was a blast, I did. It was cool.
I wanna note, we are launching kind of a new special initiative, special recognition days. You recall back earlier in the year, you all approved an additional set of what we used to call appreciation days, free entry into our park system that really fit well with our core values and missions. So the first set of those is in May, on May the 5th and 6th, around National Fitness Day and National Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we have some special activities planned for those days, and we're even considering a couple more, but those are listed here in my report. We've got yoga, and some bird watching, hikes, meditation, and I believe we now have a game plan to partner with the Clinton River Watershed Council to do a guided tour of the Clinton River and a portion of Waterford Township. So that'll be great, and we're gonna back that up with some marketing and get the message out about the health and wellness aspects and benefits of using our park system. Okay, and I want to also share some good news in terms of our seasonal hiring. One of the things that you all approved was a new incentive to encourage our seasonal staff from past seasons to come back. We've had pretty good success with that, and all the early indications is that that has worked pretty well for us. I think, and Aaron, you can correct me, I think about 450, 460 seasonal workers, which is a sizable chunk of our workforce, have committed to come back, and that really helps stabilize our operations. It's great to have people already trained, don't have to run through the whole onboarding system that can cause a delay. And just knowing this early on that we have that and bank on that level of employment is a huge step forward. So we wanna thank you for your support of the incentive, and our efforts are well underway for recruitment. So far, so good. But if you have any family or friends to send our way, we would appreciate it.
Used to be a no before we got staff shortage.
You're still looking?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We'll throw in some free golf for you, Commissioner.
Finder's fees.
Exactly.
Yeah, I take it. As long as I get golf.
Okay.
No money, golf.
The liquor license issue, if you recall, we have requested a change from the liquor control commission to change our model at White Lake and South Lyon, where the individuals who are renting can choose their own caterer. That provides much less risk to us financially as an organization. So that has been a lengthy process working through the Liquor Control Commission. The first of the two have been approved, and we are now have the green light to go forward with White Lake, and I think we're still waiting, you can correct me if we've gotten Lion. I think we're still waiting on Lion at this point to be approved. But it's a good step forward in getting those facilities back rented and utilized. Kayak rental vending machines, this is so something new I just wanted to make you aware of. We had to cut back on some of our boat rentals due to staffing issues and just in terms of financial viability. This is a low risk way to do this. So we have found a kayak rental vending option, and we will be piloting it out at Independence Oaks and see how it goes.
So it like dispenses it into the water.
Yeah, it dispenses, I don't know if it does it in the water.
Right by the water.
Gonna sit in it.
You swipe your credit card and then it drops the kayak, and then you have a sizable deposit till you put it back in there again.
Isn't that interesting?
You have to be creative to work your way around it, maybe bring a friend that's kayak shaped.
Kayak shaped friend?
Yes.
It floats, the one that floats too.
Okay, and then just good news, all that great work that led to our new 5-year rec master plan has fully come to fruition with the final approval from the state. And commendation once again to Donna. That is everything I had, just the tour afterwards, just another reminder. We'll meet over at the Oakland Press Building.
What time?
Whenever we can get over.
They're ready for us anytime.
And we have a second option on the 12th, correct?
Correct, very much.
And the Board of Commissioners have been invited to that as well. That's all I have, thank you.
Any announcements, Melissa?
Yes, sorry, just a real quick correction, on item 7, the Hazel Park license agreement, we just realized the memo that you were reviewing said that it was $300,000 for Hazel Park, it's actually $400,000, which is in the agreement, the agreement you approved is correct, it's just there was an error in the memo, so we just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
Thank you. That was my memo, sorry.
I'm sorry, Yolanda, I didn't, where's your first before?
Name tag going. Oh, right, so respectfully through the chair, I just wanna see if we could get it in conversation with the executive team, that I still can't find where it is in policy at the county or here about the indoor recreation piece. And it's kind of like being batted back and forth, volleyed between.
In terms of whether we're in the indoor recreation business?
Yes.
I don't know that we have a policy that states that, it's really just been
A
practice.
Yeah.
You correct me if I'm wrong, planning folks, is that?
Yeah, and we asked the question in our survey, do people need it? And they do need it.
Historically, there's also no state funding for indoor recreation, it's all for outdoor, so that has definitely been a part of the conversation as well, but I don't think there's any stipulation that we can't be involved in that.
And I know it's a complete paradigm shift and would shake the foundation of everything we've built so far. So of course, that's not the idea. I just know that some communities, were like, Parks and Rec, and they're like, yes, rec centers and senior centers. And I'm like, nope, I meant outdoor. And they were like, oh. So again, cart and horse, I'm not really sure, but if there's a possibility of having the conversation and vetting it out, who would kind of lead that charge. Just wanna get it in
We take our direction from you as our Parks Commission to set the direction for the organization. If there's something we can do to support and help facilitate that conversation, I guess that's what we'd be looking for is some direction.
So I will start with the exec's office and kind of see where this lands, but I just wanted to make sure that you all knew under new business potentially, maybe we could do a study or something to determine the need for it.
I'm not understanding the executive office's role so far, are they involved?
I don't know.
Oh.
Again, I don't wanna burden our budget here. and they're saying there's no money coming from the state. So again, just try to make sure it's not an unfunded mandate situation and best serving the people of Oakland County in terms of recreation. Because when I think of rec, I think of mobile gaming or even stationary gaming or all these weird things kids do now, so I don't want us to be left behind in terms of when we think about rec. That's it.
Important policy.
Yeah, so I will continue to dig and perhaps we can set up some talk about
Absolutely,
that.
yeah, and more that you can give us some direction on what you're looking for us to study, we'll be happy to support that and what kind of facilities you have in mind.
Cause we still have some ARPA money and we have like a week to tell Dave Woodward our projects and stuff, so there it is.
If I try to bring another ARPA project, though, we're gonna have to revolt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, please, go ahead.
Lance, go ahead.
I brought up, a while back, a concern. And, you know, when things happen and they're right in front of us, we say, well, we should do something. You know, their trains still carry loads and gallons and of hazardous materials all the time. My question is, do we have parks that are adjacent to railroad tracks? And the reason I ask the question, no, there's no accident happening there today. But if we do have parks that are adjacent to railroad tracks, there are simple, inexpensive things that we could do to prevent being impacted if one of those, there is an event on one of those railroad tracks, so that it doesn't come on into our park, as opposed to trying to clean up the park and repair it and all the grief that goes with it. And I think it's less costly if we look ahead. And that's why I've been trying to figure out how many of our parks are adjacent to railroad tracks.
I think Waterford.
Yeah, definitely Waterford, Oakland,
Springfield, Highland.
You see, there are things that can be done structurally, sometimes no more than berms, okay, so that we are not impacted if there is a spill, that we would not be impacted. Because if we're impacted, the cleanup is far, far more expensive and involved than the prevention. So I just bring that up to see what we can do to try to take a look at that, and consider. Like I said, we don't have an accident, but if we do, whoa.
We could touch base with the Homeland Security Department of the county and see if they have any recommendations. Report back to you on that.
Okay.
Good point.
Who would do that?
The Director of Homeland Security, the county,
Tom.
Tom Hardesty, would be a good resource, so I'll touch base with him and
Who will contact him?
I can do it.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna see if I do it, if you tell me who he is.
I'm happy to
Thank you.
include you on the call.
All right.
Jim, did you? Nope. Oh, I thought you were.
Second time.
that's
You must have a question mark on your face.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order? If not, it's 3:20 and I'll declare the meeting adjourned until May 3.